I mean, if you are out there and you are an American who unfortunately did lose your job or know someone who has, obviously there's a lot of question marks right now, especially during a pandemic, how to navigate the job market. An interesting new book out there, perfectly timed. Job Searching in Pandemic Times is highlighting just those issues. It comes from author Donna Cornell, who joins us now. And Donna, I mean, just to preface all of this, you were a self-made millionaire by age 33 after founding an employment agency as a single mom with 3 kids. So if anyone out there knows how to struggle through this and meet success on the other side, I'm glad to be chatting with you here. But when we think about the job hiring process, I mean, in a lot of ways, I guess it's different because we're dealing with technology and maybe Zoom calls here. But in a lot of ways, it's still the same. So let's start with the different, since a lot of people out there might be going through video interviews out there. What are the tips you're giving people right now to nail those in a chat room over maybe the conference room?
Very interesting way to start the conversation with the latest technology. I call it the no handshake hire, that everybody's going to go through video interviewing. There's no such thing as come on in, sit down and talk to everybody. Couple of tips. The most important thing is to make sure that you practice because it's a new medium. It's not something you've ever done before. You're not going to have those intangibles, the body language, things you used to be able to assess. Also the background, lots of people get ready to take a video interview or a virtual interview and they're not even thinking about what the person can see in the background. So those are 2 big tips.
I think they're very important too. I mean, our own producers here will nag everybody on this show to make sure they've got what you have behind you, which is shelves. But when we think about the other side, right, and obviously a lot of people who find themselves in this job search right now, it's through no fault of their own. So how are you advising people to pivot the story, I guess, from maybe getting laid off through all this to what they actually did when they were employed? What are the tips on that front?
Well, there's something I'd like to add in there, and that's if someone is furloughed, they should really be addressing this as though they're out of work. They may get called back, but then again, they may not. So they shouldn't just sit and wait to get called back. They should begin their job search, just like everybody else. And the way you begin it is to create a dynamite resume. No longer can you have just a resume that lists your work history. It doesn't work anymore. Things are really different. The competition's pretty tough out there. For every job, there's going to be thousands, not just 100, but thousands of people applying. So the resume has to be something that really touts who you are, what you bring to the table, your talents, your skills, not just what you did. I had an example yesterday. I had a gentleman who said, I have really good leadership skills. Okay, great. How did that manifest itself in your last job? What did you do?
Yeah.
Well, he said, because of my leadership skills, I was able to increase margins by X% with no change of employees. That's the kind of detail you need.
Yeah, the specificity there, I think, is important, as well as you highlight in the book, kind of the idea of, more of this being led through LinkedIn technology there, kind of matching resume words up with maybe job descriptions. But when we look at maybe words that even employers or hiring managers don't want to see, an interesting new report out from resume.io highlighting a few words here, including proven, dedicated, adept, great, motivated, some of those cliche, passionate, even on the list. I mean, I guess those are some things to avoid there, but maybe what would be, I guess, the advice on framing the resume there as you're talking about it to maybe avoid some of those pitfalls that people just don't like to see?
Well, as I said, you really have to be specific on what you accomplished, your accomplishments and what you bring to the table. I mean, the bottom line is why you? Why should they hire you over the thousands of people they're going to get to see the resumes on? Why you? So, one of the things you mentioned about the automation, there's these applicant tracking systems, which are really robots. The robot's going to read your resume. It's going to look for the match words. It's going to decide whether or not you should be forwarded to a human. So your resume has to be detailed. It has to include the words that are in the job description that you're applying for, or otherwise the robot cannot get you the interview.
All right. Very important things to keep in mind here. Donna Cornell, the author of Job Searching in Pandemic Times. Appreciate you bringing us that.